welcome to Wessex Ways, episode, what are we on, 20. I am Hedley Thorneh. Who are you, Paul?
I am Paul Whitewick.
And I am Darren.
Who?
Hey! Brilliant. Well, so for those that for those that have just joined us, obviously this is Wessex Ways, so we talk about Wessex. We're kind of doing instruction. Obviously, you can see we have a guest with us again today. Very, very special guest for this rather sort of Christmas build-up episode. We're definitely special, yeah. So, those that watch know me, aerial photographer. They know Paul, who's a videographer. I got that right, didn't I, Paul?
That works for me.
It does work for you, yeah. And who are you, Darren?
So I am Darren, and I've got a little list. Hang on a second. I'm the managing director, company secretary, executive producer, gaffer, runner, and grip of a video company called WC21 UK Productions Limited.
So you're
That's
a grip.
Beautiful.
Right.
I am a grip.
Fantastic. And I had
Don't know what that is.
Well, it's all done by magic nowadays, and I had the pleasure of going out filming with you the other day and seeing what you actually do, and it was really intriguing. It's really, really good.
I imagine it was enlightening.
It was enlightening. I've been out filming with both of you now, so I now know how YouTube works. So yeah, it was great. We had a great location as well, but we're probably
we were so lucky, weren't we?
Yeah,
I think we're coming to that, aren't we? But the weather did us proud, didn't it, Hedley?
Yeah. So Darren runs his channel is WC21 UK Productions Limited. Look him up on YouTube. You will not regret it. Those regular listeners know that we have talked about this quite a lot already, and it's a pleasure for us to have him here. So thank you very much. So what we usually do, Darren, is we start off with before we go into the main subjects about Wessex, etc., we just have a little chat about what we've done the last couple of weeks. So I didn't know if you wanted to start.
So I guess this is not just about videos. Outside, I'm very busy with the videos all the time, but I guess the major thing I've done, I'm conscious this is nothing to do with Wessex, so I keep it brief, is today I completed the Wainwrights. I did the 214th Wainwright today, so that was a relief. I've been working at that, I think, on and off for about 5 years, something like that. And my advice to anybody thinking of starting it is don't do it, because it's the tyranny of the list. And I published it on my Facebook today that I'd completed it, and I've got all these hiking sort of friends who are all saying, what are you doing next? The Munros, the outline fails, this. I don't want to do any more lists. That is the end of it. Because once you get into it, it starts dominating, your rare, well, for me is rare spare time. So I'm pleased I've done it, but that is it with lists. So other than making videos, that's my main thing lately, I guess.
You had a troublesome final few days with that, didn't you? Because you had an accident.
I did. Yes, I did have a bit of an accident on Friday. So on Friday I was doing a fell called Brim Fell, which is sort of next to the Old Man of Coniston. So one of the annoying things about... So one of the annoying things about doing the Wainwrights is when I started the exercise, I did what I think a lot of people do, which is you rush to all the high, exciting ones without planning. And in doing that, what you then find out when you start looking at the list properly later on is that you could have ticked this one off and this one off when you did this biggie. So probably the last year or so of my weekends has been spent going back to places. Now this one, Brim Fell, I think I probably actually ended up doing. I think I probably did it about 5 years ago, but I didn't tick it. But anyway, the weather was atrocious on Friday, and when I got to the top, it was melting snow, but still with frozen snow, so slipping over all over the place. And the wind was absolutely horrendous, so I decided to go back a different way, which worked out fine. I got out of the wind, but I stacked it, basically, as I was coming down by Goat's Water, and actually planted my face into a rock. It was actually the worst accident I've ever had from a hiking point of view. So, so I'm glad that's behind me, actually. I'm not going to do anything like that again, I think.
So when you were doing those Wainwrights, were you consciously thinking about time in terms of, like you say, about the whole list situation, but you're kind of thinking, I could be making a video now. I could be researching, or I could be...
yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. I mean, in the last year, because I've been trying to focus on my YouTube channel for the last year, there's been a conflict between between the two things. But also, I think just simply for the fact that sometimes when I have a bit of spare time, I just want to go and do a sort of simple walk. Yeah. But there's always this thing, there's another wretched Wainwright to do. But it's a great feeling having had it done today. I mean, today I thought was going to be a nightmare because as the final one I did today was Hard Knot, which you may recognise from Hard Knot Pass, the worst mountain road in England. So the plan with this one was to drive to the top of Hard Knot Pass, and then it's a relatively easy ascent from the top of the pass to bag that one, to tick that one off. But as I was driving there, the traffic alert thing kicked on in the car to say that Hard Knot Pass was closed because of snow. So I very nearly sort of bailed out at that. So I thought it's not snowing here. I don't think this is right. Anyway, it wasn't right, and I drove over Rhinos Pass, no snow, drove to the top of Hard Knot Pass, no snow, and yet on the way back, after I'd done it, the traffic alerts were still coming up saying that Hard Knot Pass was closed.
I wonder if someone was having a bit of a naughty thing, because you can input yourself, can't you, on Google, when a road's closed. So I wonder if someone was having a bit of a...
I mean, it really was bizarre, but... anyway, it worked out, and I got there. I got to the top of Hard Knot Pass, could not see a thing. It was a complete clag, but I've done it. I mean, 214 fell tops in one sort of area is quite a nice sense of satisfaction, I suppose.
You must know the Lake District like the back of your hand. I mean,
well, yeah, it does give you a sort of more detailed knowledge of the terrain, certainly than I think you would just go into all the famous ones.
Some of your Lake District based videos, I've seen a lot of you climbing up a lot of the places that I've frankly turned around on. So, things like Sharp Edge.
Well, it's funny that you mention it and about the conflict with trying to produce content all the time for YouTube. I had planned to do a video of the final Wainwrights, but the weather was just so atrocious. So I'm going to go and restage it at some stage next year, and only the people who watch Wessex Ways will know that it's fake, won't they? So it'll be fine.
So that's us three on here. My brother-in-law and a goat. So before we go away from the Wainwrights, I mean, well done. That's an incredible feat. Which was your favourite? Well, that's a great question. I think out of the big boys, I do love Helvellyn. Helvellyn in winter conditions has to be the best mountain in England in my Did you go
view.
Up Striding Edge and down through?
I've done Striding Edge a few times, and I've been lucky to do or insane, however you look at it, to do Striding Edge in snow a couple of times, which adds a real dimension of terror to the whole exercise. I think it was back in 2021. It was the year after the lockdowns. We'd had another lockdown, I think, at the start of 21, hadn't we? Some sort of regional thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'd missed the sort of winter hiking season in the Lake District because of that. And I could walk from my home up onto the Bowland Fells behind me and see all the snow on the Lake District in January, February and March of that year. Really frustrated that I was missing my favourite hiking season. Anyhow, the obviously the restrictions lifted or whatever in, I think it was the April of that year, and I went up to do Helvellyn on the first weekend of May, and overnight there was this incredible snow downfall, and I think it was the most snow that had been on Helvellyn all through that winter, and it was bedlam up there. There were people skiing. It was absolutely rammed with everybody making the most out of it. But yeah, amazing. I think that out of the famous ones would be my favourite. But actually, some of the little ones that I've been plodding my way through over the last year or so are nice as well, in the sense of their remoteness and there's no one there sort of side of
Castle
things.
Crag's quite nice. It's a tiny little thing.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it? But Helvellyn, I mean, that's a real death trap when they got that snow cornice on the eastern side. I follow a channel called Bushman and Blue, and that guy goes up there in the middle of winter with his dog and rough camps at the top. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So, Paul, what have you been up to this week?
Oh, what have I been up to? God, goodness me, editing mainly. A large portion. I've got one of my I don't know, more documentary style videos coming out next Sunday, and it's like a 2-week edit, and it's painful, but it's going to be big. It's like a little documentary. So I've gone out and I've done like walking snippets for that quite a lot. What else have I been doing? Sometimes I have to actually check my YouTube videos to see what I've been doing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? When you think, what have I been up to? I don't even know.
I'm very happy to tell you if you want, because you had the Danebury one, which was good, and you did
that was a few weeks back. Yep.
Yeah, and you did the one which was Khalifa Atu
Yes.
Silchester.
Oh, that's a very good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hedley, for the reminder of what I've been doing all my life.
Well, that was the one about the new, is it David Starkey's new road?
Yeah, David.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Stavley or something.
Stavley.
Yeah, so
Not David Starkey, he's someone else. Completely someone else.
So yeah, David Stavley's got a YouTube channel. He doesn't use it for YouTube videos, but he does LiDAR analysis, and it's 100% a video for 25-30 minutes on LiDAR analysis. And he highlighted that it was a Roman road he'd sort of just found, like 15 miles from my house, and it kind of run parallel to an already established Roman road, quite a main route. And I just think this is staggering. This is amazing. Literally sort of 1 or 2 miles to the east of the established route. So it was near on parallel. I know parallel means parallel is what it is. And I just thought, right, I need to go and have a look at this. So I took the opportunity to film a really beautiful Saturday morning a week ago. Khalifa Atu Silchester, and it was.
I really enjoyed that video, Paul, and there's a bit in it I can really relate to. For those that don't know my channel, there's quite a big Roman element on it. So I'm quite often looking for Roman roads and agas, as we call them.
Yeah.
And I think you just found one stretch, Paul, wasn't it, during that, one little bit in the wood.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But you look on the LiDAR and it's crystal clear. Even in cloud filled, you can see this beautiful sort of, aga, as we say. But it took for me to go, off the beaten track, a kilometre up these random woods to actually find, the big bank that is the road. And it lined up.
It's a lovely feeling, though, Paul, isn't it? When you find it. I mean, and I think it's something that I've always struggled on the videos. It's difficult to show an aga, isn't it?
Yeah.
On video, it's really difficult to show it.
Even when you.
But the moment when you see it is just magic.
I try and sort of like put myself in the ditch and go, right, look, can you see if look that way, or just like do some kind of graphic on top? And no, you can't see it, and people say, I couldn't see it. Then I can't.
The fact the road was sort of running parallel, I think, is sort of was interesting.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me about it was that you could look at that and think this doesn't make any sense. What's the why would that be? And I think it's something that I've noticed with this subject. I think from this distance, it's easy to forget that the Romans were here for 370 odd years.
Yeah.
Now, that first road, the one that McGarry has, was probably, I think I'm right in saying, would have been one of the occupation roads. It was built as part of the military conquest of the country.
Yeah, well,
is that other one potentially a later one? If you look at that passage of time, that amount of time, and things have switched, the road network has switched more to having a trade function rather than military function,
or vice versa, because the whole town of Basingstoke seems to stop on that border. So would that imply that the common one that we all believe is still the one, Basingstoke, sort of draws a line at that Roman road? So could that continue to be a boundary thereafter? So but the point remains, it could well be, but we're never going to know unless somebody finds some more itineraries.
I mean, I've always found that when you find those little bits of a Roman road, like your bit of agger, one little bit of agger in the wood, it's sort of really satisfying, isn't it? Although obviously it's lovely to go and find loads of evidence of it. When one little bit has survived, that's what really sort of pumps you up, I think, as a Roman road enthusiast.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking, do you know what? Nobody has seen this bit of ditch or bank or whatever and known it was a Roman road since, whatever, 400, 500, AD. And that's what, as you say, that's sort of staggers me. That, goodness me, I'm looking at something nobody has looked at as a Roman road.
And it is that complete sort of disappearance, isn't it, from the countryside? The fact that something so significant went completely. I mean, this is one of my sort of real areas of interest, is why in this country all this Roman infrastructure was so swiftly ignored and abandoned, because I guess that road, probably had disappeared within 100 or 200 years of the withdrawal of the Roman army.
Yeah,
and that's why things like the things like Wansdyke stay, because it was, with a Roman road you've got something that's probably only a couple of feet elevation sort of thing, but served the purpose like that. But with something like Wansdyke, which is like your latest video, Darren, this is something that was gouged out to a big depth and everything, and it physically cannot be destroyed, apart from where it goes through immediate agriculture. But that was a great day out. That really was. That was a really great day out.
I was so jealous when you in the afternoon when you got home and you showed me the pictures. I was like, oh god. I had my son. He wasn't feeling very well, so I thought I'd feel really guilty if I drag him up the top of Coombe Gibbet. He's only 11 and he was full of cold, and I thought, oh, this isn't good. But I almost felt I should have done it. Looking at your pictures, I was like, oh my goodness me.
Did you like my little cameo at the end of Darren's video?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was really well edited. I know it sounds. The thing is as well, I completely like you, Darren. Probably self-taught. There's no. Not really.
Oh, absolutely.
But to see you do that with Hedley, and I'm thinking, that wasn't as easy as you made it look, with all those different. Because there was probably in that 30 seconds, I bet you've got 30 clips. Right there, right. Hedley walked this way, Hedley shot there, right, you've got the drone shot, you've got this shot, that shot, this shot. It was great, it was really good. I loved it.
Thank you, Paul. That's lovely of you to say that. I mean, I was really very pleased with it. I particularly liked because I don't know if you noticed, I put a little bit of menacing music behind your appearance, Hedley. And there was that one very brief snippet of when I was talking, and as you were, from one of your drone shots of you walking towards me, and I pinged that music back in there again.
I did the shot, Paul, was I had the drone out to the north, because it was a beautiful day. I'll just explain. We met at the top of Gallows Down, and I left. Of course, we did the podcast, recorded the podcast the day before about Gallows Down and Walbury Hill. Yeah. And I remember saying on that, we're going to be there. And I woke up in the morning here, and it was just, you couldn't see anything outside. It was foggy, it was dark, it was grey. And I spoke to Darren, I said something like, is this even worth doing today? Because we're not going to see anything. And Dara just sent me a very simple message back. I'm up here. I'm above the clouds. It's wonderful. Yeah, exactly. So I drove down there, and sure enough, you drive up the side of Walbury Hill. It's like looking out of an aeroplane window. The clouds just go below you. There's this temperature inversion, so it actually got warmer up there. And sure enough, got up there, and it was just. And I actually managed to get some photographs up there and generate a couple of sales, which was quite nice. So it was really, really stunning morning.
No, we were very lucky. I actually filmed the video over 2 days, which is something I don't think I've ever done before. I normally do them in one frantic.
Because there was a lot of locations in, and I thought, I recognise, I think, most of the locations, but I'm still thinking. Yeah, you've got from what?
Well, I drove from home on the Friday morning, so it took me about 4 hours to drive from home to Morgan's Hill. So I then filmed all that stuff there. Then I went to Chisbury and did that, and then there was a couple of little pickup shots I did, and then obviously the next day it was the Saturday, wasn't it, Hedley, when we met up and did that bit. And then after that, we went and filmed the bit that came before that at Old Dyke Lane, which Hedley was actually present for, but we couldn't reveal his presence because it would have spoilt the continuity.
It was great. That was really nice as well. It was very frosty in there. There were lots of sort of spiders' webs that were frosted over and everything. With Morgan's Hill, I was always told by Glyn Coy and Paul Timlett from Hidden Wiltshire not to go up there, because there's strange things happen up there. And one summer, I was on my mountain bike and I was cycling from Churhill down to Roundway. And I went up there, middle of the summer, 30-something degrees, really, really hot. Went to Furs Knoll on Morgan's Hill, and right there in front of me, standing, was a naked man, waving at me like that. I have never descended faster. Never descended faster. So, yeah. So, what have I been up to then? Not a lot, because it's not that long since we recorded the last podcast. It's over a week. So I was at Blenheim Palace today with my alleged children and my current wife. Obviously Gallows Down with Darren. I did another walk up Streatley Warren up towards Aldworth. Went to the Bell as per Tweedy Outdoors. Oh mate, get him on here. So I went to the Bell, descended via Westridge Green, which was really nice. A bit of the old aching in the hips, so I'm not too pleased on that. Tomorrow, actually, I mentioned tomorrow, I'm off to Ivinghoe Beacon, because it's the Ridgeway's 50th birthday as a national trail, not as a path, it's 5,500 years old, but as a national trail. We've got a lot of people who work and volunteer on the Ridgeway, and Anna Dillon was going as well. I mustn't mention her in this podcast because she listens to it when she paints, and she's probably done that. But we're going up there, and they're going to make a big number 50 using people, and I'm going to chuck the drone up, and we're going to get some video footage for the Ridgeway Trail Officer. A lot of work. Heathrow has been really busy. I'm not going to lie, it's been a very testing week, and we've had a lot of major incidents, not aircraft incidents, I should say. And also
nothing in the news.
managing the Hill Forts group. So this Hill Forts group that I started a few weeks back, last week, I was saying about its expansion. So it went up to 4,000 members, and this evening it's gone over 8,000. So I've taken on a couple of moderators, good friends, the moderators. It's been really busy. That's kind of my week. So yeah.
So I went yesterday actually. One of the places I filmed was I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Bury Hill Fort, and I keep meaning to post some pictures in that group, but I couldn't get the drone up because it was like your drone would have been fine, I'm sure, but my little 249 gram drone would have been on the Southampton coastline, I think, if I'd have put my drone up.
It's all about the size.
Well, it is all about the size, absolutely, Hedley. And
pure filth.
Hedley's is massive as well. I've actually seen it now. Hedley's is massive. I've never seen one as big as the one that Hedley showed me the other day.
It's the best of girth, isn't it? Yeah. That's what Rebecca was saying, because when you and I had them both out that time, Paul, And she went, "Oh, it's this massive Hedley, much bigger than my husband's." And we went flying. So
And we went flying.
So I haven't even started my beer. I'm on Ridgeway Bitter tonight, by the way.
All right, we announced it. I'm on Butty Back.
And sadly, I'm on Heineken Zero.
Someone's driving.
Someone is driving.
Yes, fair enough.
So anyway, I was up Bury Hillfort.
Bury Hillfort,
which is only, I don't know, 2 miles from Danebury.
Is it in the no-fly zone?
No, it is in the fly zone because it's pretty much on the A303 Andover Salisbury junction, so you can get to it within walking distance of my house basically. You can fly a drone, but I couldn't fly the drone because of the wind, because it was ridiculous wind. I think it was Saturday morning. But I got some good pictures, so I shall put some pictures up in your little group, your not this little group, very soon. But it's huge. Yeah. It's actually really big. It was never occupied. No. It was only used as a sort of marketplace, as far as people can tell.
So it's probably where they paid taxes and exchanged goods.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of stuff. It's a stone's throw from Danebury. So yeah.
So it wasn't It wasn't a place of retreat for defensive purposes during.
Well, I mean the defensive, the ditches and that are huge. They're almost as big as Danebury, but there's been absolutely no evidence of any occupation. So it could have been, a retreat place. It could have been a market. I think they found all sorts of things like horse hooves and like from Iron Age times.
Yeah.
So certainly a marketplace. Maybe a bit more. But yeah, I'll stick some photos in your group, Hedley, at some point soon.
Okay. Yeah. There's a hill fort potentially. When I was with Darren up on Gallows Down, one of the drone shots I got seems to show. I don't know, to be honest with you. It looks like a hill fort. It's in the right place for a hill fort.
Yeah.
But there's no reference to it, and I'm not claiming to have found
It wasn't complete, Hedley, was it?
It wasn't complete. It was sort of a semicircle.
Yeah.
So maybe we could put a picture on that here.
If you've got a picture, Hedley, send it to me. And
I have.
I'll try my best to put it in the complete wrong place.
If you don't see it, it's because Paul's forgotten.
Yeah, or put it in the wrong place. And it's like when we're saying goodbye, I'll put it in because
Yeah.
That's the quality of my editing, basically.
Only on Wessex Ways, not on the Paul Whitewick channel as it is now, because Rebecca's moved on.
Oh, she's not moved on at all. I just thought, there's a number of different things with that. Really, I thought, I need an excuse to put a video out today because I didn't have a video today, so I thought we'd do a cheap clickbait announcement video.
Well, it was an excellent clickbait title.
We had worse though, Dan.
There's a picture of you splitting up. It's split down.
That was a dumbed down version, Hedley. The other version said we've split up. So I thought, no, I can't do that. That's too much. But I'll tell you what, right? 6,000 views in 1 hour says people are clicking on it. Which is a bit mad.
You're cheaping out. You're cheaping.
I know.
No.
I've sold out. I've sold out.
You've sold it. That's it. It's gone. But no. Okay. No, we'll see how it goes. I think Rebecca's put a video up. I've literally been notified about that.
Yeah, so Rebecca wants to do a lot of rail travel, which she's been doing. She's in and out of the videos, and she's often doing behind the scenes with me and doing the actual filming for me as well.
Yeah.
But we just thought, let's be sensible and call it what they are, really. So, yeah, it's all good. Nothing changes, really.
So there were a couple of things that happened when Darren and I were up. We had there were a couple of women that approached us when we were filming. So,
I mean, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So there's this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hedley, do you mean there was a couple of women that approached Darren and then said, "Oh, hi," to you?
Yeah, got it. But yeah, so one of them was up on Gallows Down, and she was just sort of approached us because we were doing an introduction, maybe for this podcast, but probably not. Now we've filmed it properly, and she just came up to us and said, "Are you taking pictures of me?" And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "No, you're not actually that interesting."
Why would we?
But yeah, why would we? It's like, I don't need pictures of women that I walk past. It's the internet's for that.
Well, I couldn't help but sort of take her to task a little bit.
You did a bit, didn't you? You did a bit.
Because we absolutely weren't interested in taking pictures of her, but I could just tell she's one of these people that if we'd have said that we had been, she would have told us that it was illegal for us to do that. So I did have to point out to her that if we'd wanted to, because we're in a public space, we could have done.
Yeah.
So
because these sort of people, the law is what they think it should be, isn't it? As opposed to what it actually is.
You've still got to be sensible, but I thought you were going to go with the fact that there was like a sense of irony in her voice, like a bit of a joke. But no, she was clearly obviously
deadly. No, she was deadly serious. I imagine she scurried off to check what I'd said about the law afterwards,
probably
as well.
But
so
more interesting was the second lady that we bumped into. So we had to film a bit down in this path that goes through the woods. And to get there, we basically went down the hill in the cars, and it was frosty. And
the parking nightmare.
Yeah, so we didn't know where to park. So I immediately, Darren followed me, which is I'm the worst person to follow, and I turned into this sort of ever narrowing path that goes up to a church, and had to do an Austin Powers style, 20-point turn to get back round. Darren was more sensible. He saw that I was doing that and managed to sort of stay on the road. But we went down further, and there was this nice cottage on the house, and I was looking at it, I think, can we park 2 cars out the front of that on the road and not block? And I was like, I'll give it a go. So I went in, and Darren went in. And then this lady came out, and she was, nice lady, older lady, very prim and proper. And she sort of gave me the, you can't really park here sort of look, Mm-hmm. And anyway, Darren came walking down from the car. I said, okay, well, is there somewhere else further down, And she was sort of, talking to me. And then, of course, Darren turns up in his flipping +4s Harris tweed suit with his chain and his lovely hat and everything. And she turns around and immediately takes a shine to him. She went, oh, you look
I really
smart.
did. I did score there.
So she was looking at him. She was sort of, half glasses and looking at him. He's really smart. And she turns around and she went,
she lost all interest in you.
She did. She physically called me
Yeah,
scruffy.
she said, not you, you're scruffy.
Yeah, not you, you're scruffy. I've actually gone and spent God knows how much money on a new coat this week because of that comment. And then she sort of went up to him and she went, my goodness, even your teeth are lovely. So, I mean, Darren's very good. He was sort of backing off. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Can we go?
I'm not sure she wanted to.
Yeah.
It was slightly alarming, actually, wasn't it? It was slightly disturbing. Yeah.
You were probably glad that I was there on that one, to be honest with you. So.
Absolutely, Hedley. You saved me, I think.
Saved my, I should have said that I'm his, security guard. But I was dressed like it, But no, it was good. And so we kind of left Darren's car there and went on down in mine and found somewhere bad to park mine. But it does bring me to a point, actually, Darren, is that you do bring a bit of class to this, don't you? Not to put too fine a point on it.
Oh, well. To bring a bit of class to YouTube, you mean?
Well, you and Tweedy Outdoors as well.
And Tweedy Outdoors, yes.
David Carson.
Well, I did make a comment in this week's video about YouTube antiquarians wearing tweed nowadays.
Tweed. Yeah.
I guess, as far as I know, that's only me and Tweedy Outdoors. But yes, that is how I dress. It's not an affectation for YouTube. No, it is how I dress in normal life, and how I have done for ever, really. Well,
yeah, and I've seen
since my early 20s, I suspect.
Yeah, and it's. I think it's great. I mean, it adds a little bit of extra sort of character to it as well. And like Tweedy Outdoors, I watched a video. He mentioned us today on his video. He's sitting there cooking a fine meal on a gas stove, drinking that lovely Chambertin wine that he drinks, and wearing tweed. And he's really trying to get me into tweed. He's saying, look, you know, it keeps you.
I saw that he was really selling you Walker Slater, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I did run it past my domestic approval authority, and she made it clear it's outside of the sphere of domestic approval. So, and besides, I live in Didcot. I don't think there's many tweed outlets in Didcot, to be perfectly honest with you.
You know, it's sort of interesting in the sort of probably what must be 35 odd years that I have dressed the way I do. I seem to have gone from being the ultimate embodiment of the establishment, which is how people treated me when I was in my 20s or whatever. Whereas nowadays it's seen as the ultimate act of rebellion. To if you wear a tie when you don't need to, you constantly get challenged about it. Why? You know, why are you doing that? So there's been this real sort of, you know, I am the ultimate punk now because I wear a tie and a suit.
Brilliant. Well, no, it works, and it comes across in all your videos, and it does give that kind of unique kind of classy kind of look to it, because
it is good. It's a selling point, and it's part of a, intended or not, it's a brand. It's your brand, you know.
Yes,
it's you as a person anyway, which is even better because you've not created
authentic. I am authentic on YouTube.
Exactly. And I love the way you do that in your videos, where you tend to refer to the YouTube antiquarians, and I love that. That's kind of a, because that's what, you know, we are.
Well, I do seem to have drifted into this sort of thing. You find yourself with the sort of videos I make. You find yourself referring to people like William Stukeley so often, and then you think actually, sort of what I'm doing now is sort of what they were doing then, but rather than sort of putting it in a book, it's on YouTube. Yeah. And in a way, it has a slightly, you know, better sort of aspect of authenticity to it, and certainly accuracy, because they put something in print, and then that became the facts for the next 250 years. Whereas if you put something on YouTube and then you realise later on, actually, that was completely wrong, you can correct it, can't you?
Yes.
You've been to some fabulous locations recently as well, and I know we're stepping a few miles out of Wessex for this, but thinking like the Castlereagh Stone Circle, just a magical place, and you went there, and other places in the Lake District as well. That the where you mislabeled Tarnhouse, I've forgotten the one you went up.
Oh yes,
yes,
I've forgotten the name of that one.
That was beautiful. But I mean, Castle, if you could, I mean, what in the last, should we say, 4 or 5 months, half a year, what place sticks out?
The best locations.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I try to do with the channel is I do try to bring to YouTube places that I haven't seen anybody else do. And I obviously do go to well-known places because they form part of the sort of stories that I'm telling. But I do particularly like going to these places that, when I look them up on the internet, there is no video content. Very often there are no pictures. So I think recently there's been a couple that I've done in my Roman Gazette series. Yes. One of them was a video called Dangerous Roman Investigation. And I went to basically a Roman signal station.
Oh, that was like in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it?
Absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And I'd known about it for yonks, but because of the nature of where it is, I think I said in the video, and I wasn't, exaggerating too much, that probably 98% of the time, that moor is in thick, impenetrable mist.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would possibly find this thing if you went up there in those conditions. You'd have to be a fantastic navigator.
Yeah.
So I'd wanted to do a video there for ages, but every time I thought, the weather was just... And I just didn't fancy the stress of this, because it must have been a good 3.5-4 mile walk out into the moor from the nearest road to get to it. Anyway, the day came, and the weather was great, so I went up there. So getting there and finding that was amazing. You know, that was one of those days where making the video was sort of almost incidental to just really enjoying finally getting to see this incredible place. And it's just amazing to think of them building a signal station there in the first century AD in this bleak sort of vastness, and how clever they were at locating these things, because it was a sort of a perfect triangulation system for a series of mile stations along the Roman road that runs through the Pennines, basically. So that one, and then another one was the Roman tomb. There was one called Roadside Roman Tomb. It didn't do that well for views, but I loved it. Again, another pretty bleak, remote location. And I'd read about this place, but I'd never been able to find anything really serious about it on the internet. And it was, again, a stretch of Roman agger. But this one had sort of the remains of 3 Roman tombs along the side of it, and one of them still had a stone base to a level of about 3 levels of stone, with carvings on it. There was a sort of a diamond shape and an amazing animal sort of shape, which I think might be a donkey or a hare, something like that. And that was just incredible. I mean, again, I almost forgot to do a video at times because I was just really enjoying seeing such what in this country is a very rare and incredible thing to survive.
Yeah. So what do you find? So Dan, what do you find like not the most enjoyable aspect, but what do you when you're starting a new project? What do you like? Do you like the research the most, the filming, the editing, the post? What does your saviour bit of it? What's the bit you love?
That's a really, really good question. I think I do enjoy all of it, but I think that probably it's the getting there, especially with the research aspect that you read about. You're looking at, you're forming an opinion about things. So I think you can't beat that first experience of when you get there and see this thing in the flesh, and you're actually there on that location. And, it's quite interesting, and this has sort of happened with the video that I did, on Wansdyke, that actually I researched it, I sort of formed an opinion about it, went there, that opinion didn't actually change on the location. But when I was putting it together, I just started thinking, hang on a minute, am I actually right about this? So I very much enjoy the sort of thoughts, that constant evolution of your sort of thoughts about these things. I think I see a lot of YouTube people say they hate the editing, don't they? And they don't like the editing, but I really enjoy it.
The best bit for me is the start of a new project. I don't know why, but when I sit down and you've got all your clips ready, hundreds of clips and bits of whatever you've got, I love that first empty timeline. Going, right, where do I start?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but my head says this is great, I love this. And maybe I'll get a few hours in and I'm just like, oh, this is a horrible one, but whatever. If you're enjoying
I don't know about you, Paul, but I am, and I know Tweedy Outdoors is similar through talking to me on this one. The footage burns a hole in my pocket. Once I've filmed it, I just cannot wait to edit it and put it all together. And it really bugs me if within a couple of days it isn't done. So
it sounds like me with picture editing. It's the same thing. You've got it in the can. You think that's going to be a bit special, and you just can't wait to see what that's it.
I think that's probably what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's some videos. I mean, the way I got into you was sounds wrong. Let me rephrase.
It got into me.
So I was up on. I think it was the Danish entrenchment video. When I was up in the Chilterns, because I was wondering what these earthworks I was standing on was, and I googled the hell out of it, and that brought me to your channel. And then you did Grimm's Ditch, which runs parallel with the Ridgeway. Again, this is all kind of the Wessex area, up the other side of Wallingford. That was really interesting. You did the Giants in the Church video at Aldworth.
That was at Aldworth where you went to the
Exactly,
pub.
yeah. So that was really good. So great pub there. The Bell is. I think it's.
It was shut the day I filmed there. I was really annoyed about that.
For about 7 years, it was voted CAMRA's best pub in Britain, and it's still got a listed interior. So they haven't messed around with the interior at all. It's the same as it was 200 years ago. Absolutely incredible. And you know, when you order food, you get food that probably would have existed back then. So if you ask for a cheese sandwich, they get you a freshly bit of bread, put a massive block of cheese in it, and then, you know, condiments on the side. It's just wonderful. I'm not being paid by that. And then you did more recently.
Sponsorship.
More recently, I think one that was different to all your others, but it was quite an insight into you, I think, was the one you did in Morecambe. You did one in
Yes, it was a bit different.
And I remember you talking about the buildings there. I think you, like us, you feel a little bit of you has been destroyed when a nice old building is replaced with is replaced with something generic and modern and would look out of date in 10 years' time. For me,
that's a massive thing. That's a massive thing for me. I feel that you know, we're not very good, and we seem to, for many decades, not been very good at valuing our built heritage in this in this country. And I think we're in another cycle, a particularly destructive cycle of that. At the moment, it's
an extension of desecration, isn't it? Because you again, desecration includes things like the crooked house, the sycamore tree, that sycamore gap, that sort of stuff, and that can extend to things like architecture, where people have just put something up that's computer designed for money, and you're actually replacing. Happened in the Chilterns near here. I mean, you know, I'll be perfectly frank. Rowan Atkinson built.
Oh yes, I know about that.
Yeah, that looks like a petrol station. As far as I'm aware, he's never lived in it. I think there had to be changes in planning laws in an AONB in order to build.
Well, I was actually still living in the Chilterns at the time that he was had the planning going through for that, so I can remember something of the hoo-ha about it. Now, I mean, in reality, the house that they demolished there wasn't particularly of merit. I think it was something like a 1920s or 1930s pastiche.
It didn't reflect the sun.
But it did look British. It did look British. It looked, it looked British. It looked in keeping. Whereas, as you say, what they replaced it with is something that you can see for miles away. I have this thing that you know, when you think about the value of tourism, that you know, you quite often hear them quoting the value of tourism to the country. If we just go down this bland identikit style of architecture, where we're ripping a chunk out of Morecambe seafront and putting the type of hotel that you could see in any other town or city in the country, you know, what's the point when the tourists think, this just looks like at home. You know, what's the point of sort of coming here? And I think we seem to just lack a bit of regard for for that. Seem to know the cost of everything, but the value of nothing, possibly, in terms of sort of built heritage.
I like your principles. It's part of why I like your channel, and I just wish more people saw the world the way it is, like you. To be honest with you. So, Paul, did you have a subject today before we go into the pointless treasure hunt?
Really, no, I didn't. I mean, I was gonna waffle. My only other thing I was going to say about is because we've made this ridiculously clickbait video that's gone out as we are filming this today, which is Sunday the something of December, maybe the 10th. Yeah, I thought I need to hit people hard with a good edit next week. So I've done, and for the YouTube viewers, this is a big book called The Vinland Map.
Okay.
Right, so the Vinland map. Vinland is America, or North America, or the continent of America as a whole. And we all assumed it was discovered by Columbus in 1492 over 4 journeys. And that was the case until 1957, when this dude discovered a map. And the map was supposedly done by Vikings. It was like a 1200 map where they'd record these Viking voyages to the Americas, and so all of a sudden Columbus didn't discover the Americas, the Vikings did. Turned out that this is a weird story which I won't go into great detail, but 2021 they finally confirmed, 60 years on after the discovery of this map, 60 years on, it was a forgery. But it took them 60 years to discover that it was a forgery, this map. Of course, 1970-ish, they did discover one Viking settlement in Newfoundland, which did indicate that, yes, the Vikings did discover North America, or at least sort of Canada, East Canada. But at the time that this map was forged, this wasn't a known thing. So this guy, whoever it was, forged this map in such an amazing way, because he used an existing map which was dated to 1200 and basically added America, before Columbus discovered it. And it's this beautiful story, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to try and tell this story, because I don't know why, but it's fallen into my head as, wow, this is amazing. Nothing to do with what we normally do. So I thought, right, I'm going to tell this story next week. So I don't know when this podcast is going out, Hedley, whenever I get an editor, I guess, but the viewers may or may not have seen the story of the Vinland map, and it's genius. I love the story. It's wonderful. It's beautiful, and it's full of characters and people. And I've even got a mate of mine who's an actor to do me a few voices, and sort of like he was there at the time telling these stories. All sorts going on. It's a massive edit. It's taken me about 10 hours so far, and I'm 5 minutes and 30 seconds into it, and there's another 10 minutes to do. So, yeah.
Wow.
And Paul, what do you think is anything known about the motivation for the forger? Why did someone do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the level of accuracy on every detail. All of these historians, these cartographers, ink specialists, vellum and parchment specialists, they all said this is real, this is true, and they all drew up 30-40 page documents as to why their specialist subject agreed that this was real. From chemical analysis, the inks, the titanium dioxide levels, the iron levels in the ink.
So the effort is...
The effort is, they said, if you forge this, you'd need a team of like a dozen people to do it, because it needs that area of specialists from every single subject. And literally 60 years it took them to finally confirm it was a fake. And the outcome and the way that they learnt it was a fake, I won't give away a spoiler now, but it's just beautiful. Why someone did it, nobody knows. To this day, no one knows. So there's another mystery still to be found.
That's great. What's in it for somebody doing that, putting so much effort into something like that?
Who knows? Because this guy bought this map originally knowing that it might be a fake, because this is when he originally found it, and it was like, this is groundbreaking. So he paid £3,000 for it. And when they said, right, after all this analysis, like 6 or 7 years later, they then sold it for £300,000. Then somebody gifted it to Yale, and it just grew. Then all of a sudden the insurance value was at $35 million. So it just kept on going up and up and up, because they kept on confirming, oh no, now the vellum guy says it's real. Now the ink guy says it's real. Now it's just such a good story. And I thought I wanted to try and tell this in a very, I don't know if you guys watch Johnny Harris as a YouTuber. 5 million subscribers. Just go and watch a couple of Johnny Harris videos, and I want to tell it in a very Johnny Harris way, but I'll leave you to look at Johnny Harris and who he is. Yeah, that's my waffle. I'm done.
Superb.
Simple as that.
Superb.
So I'm quite excited. I'm very excited.
Are we at that time?
Oh, let me just check. Hang on.
Oh, is this
I tell you, every week, right, Darren, I say to Hedley, find the treasure hunt music, because we need it now. We need Annika Rice.
If I put the treasure hunt music on, isn't it going to stop? There'd be a copyright thing.
Yeah, but that would imply that we're earning money from this, Hedley.
Which we're not. No.
At this point in time, no. But
At
just
this
give it
point
a
in
few
time.
weeks and we're going to take off. You know.
I mean, I would hum it if I could, but I can't remember how.
Okay.
I remember Annika Rice.
I
don't
can
we
put,
all?
all right, okay. How about, so I've got YouTube Premium. Why don't I just literally stick on the treasure hunt theme like this?
Yeah, I can't hear that.
Do you remember? You will in a minute. You will. In a,
Okay.
I forgot. It's got a helicopter at the start. Do you remember that, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another treasure hunt. Oh, do you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. Shut up. I can't
Sort it in the edit.
sort
Right,
it in the
Darren,
end. No,
over
right.
to you. Where do you want to start, Darren? I've got an OS map up. I've got Google
Right,
Maps
so-
up. I've got every.
So, am I
conceivable-
meant to be able to see this map?
You can't see it because I can't.
Here's the
screen
thing,
share.
you
This is
can't
the- this is
see
the
it.
Ah,
frustration.
right, okay. So, I
so
just
it's a-
literally get. So I just got.
Yeah.
So well, let's go. Let's head west.
Kind of.
Well, we're if we keep going, we're in a place called
Oh,
Whitchurch.
Lichfield. I've got Lichfield. Whitchurch.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so let's stop at Whitchurch a sec. Let me just check.
If you're
Yeah,
local,
no, okay. You're warmer.
If you're
You're
local,
warmer.
Hedley,
Yeah.
we call that Wirch.
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 All right, keep going.
Isn't
south.
that where Richard Adams lived there? Didn't he?
Oh, don't know. There's quite a few
Watership
Wirch.
Down.
Oh, most probably in that case, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
doesn't
you're at
help,
Whitchurch. You're
Yep.
still on your sordid little steam train
Yep.
going down the DSNR. Do you want to carry
Glorified
on?
kettle.
What would your glorified kettle? Your where are you going from here? Are you going to continue, or are you going to?
You're goading us to go east or west. Well, I'll tell you
Not
what, Hedley,
necessarily. Not necessarily.
Ooh.
You can
well,
do.
if we carry on going south, we're going to end up in Winchester pretty soon.
I tell you what. Be brave. Carry on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hedley, if you
So-
get to Sutton Scotney,
Why do people like this?
because it's a beautiful thing, Hedley, it's interactive.
I don't get it. Okay, right. It's interactive. Good. Right.
Before you get to Winchester, there's a lovely railway junction where it interacts with the actual main line and interacts with what would have been the Watercress line. And there's still a
Kingsworthy.
beautiful set of arches there. It's a lovely little place to visit. That
Yeah. Okay.
Kingsworthy.
That's nice. That's nice. So let me just. I've got to get my bearings now. So you've done pretty well so far.
right? Okay.
Let's-
We're coming to Winchester. When you
Yep.
come into Winchester, you come into what was the old Chisel Station, and
Right.
there was the Soak Tunnel. Now the Soak Tunnel was 452 yards long, and the navvies would not get paid a bonus if it was less than 455 yards long. So the navvies all went on strike because they're like 3 yards off. So they deemed all of a sudden they'd measured it wrong, and the tunnel was actually 6 yards longer than what it was, and they got paid their bonus. Anyway,
Do you know bits of information like that about every square metre of the country? I mean,
No.
if you're travelling with Rebecca somewhere, you don't pull over and explain stuff. You know, you go down the
I
M4.
do, but she's generally
Yeah.
asleep, so I just talk to myself. She's not asleep. Right, come on, Heddy. We're at St
Okay.
Catherine's Hill.
St. Catherine. I love St. Catherine's Hill. Okay, now you're at St. Catherine's Hill. That's nice. So let's. So do we have an option? So we can go north and south St. Catherine's Hill on the M3, or
Oh.
can we go east to west as well? Just,
yeah,
maybe give
well,
Darren some options and he can choose.
Well, the problem you see, when I've watched these, I can see a map on the screen, can't I?
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm watching
because he's
this.
doing it now.
So you've
He's-
really
he's-
caught me out with this, the
Sorry.
fact I can't see
and
a
you
map,
can see why I have.
and I
this
have,
trouble,
and I
yeah.
can't access a map. So I'm just guessing, basically, a bit east.
Oh, he's good. He's good. You see,
You see,
Paul,
it's my
easy because
instincts. My
Sam-
instincts.
Sam made all the right decisions. Darren's making the right decisions.
Yeah.
You're the only person that's ever gone in the wrong direction on this.
But Sam
Well
said,
done, Darren. We're
I
going
mean, I
east.
don't want to knock Sam, but she did say she paid attention to how you play the game, Hedley, and knew the rules. I don't know the rules, Hedley. I'm just I'm just moving chess pieces in any direction, you know.
Well, yeah, okay. So
Right,
before
down to the
we go
east.
too far east, so the reason is because the secret was that people could see that my Instagram pictures were where I was going to talk about.
Well, yeah.
Escape your attention, thankfully, but now you know
A bit of a
that.
giveaway.
I can't do that anymore. And we
Right.
did Coombe Gibbet last time round, so that's excluded that. and
Yeah.
I haven't. So what I'm doing is I'm choosing somewhere that I've been a little while back. So
Okay.
we're going
Right.
east from
Well,
Winchester.
Darren said east. Now, somewhere between Winchester and Alton, there is a Roman road that nobody has yet to discover. And I'll tell you why, because it looks like there's a Roman road which leads to the east but just disappears. And at Alton, which is 10 miles to the east, there is a Roman town.
Right,
So
Alton. Okay,
Alton.
you're
Are we too far
marginally-
east?
You're marginally warmer, but you might have overshot a little bit, not by much.
What, between...
Oh, so we need to pull it
Winchester
back a
and
bit.
Alton. New Alsford?
Okay, stop there a minute.
Yeah.
You wanna take a north or south decision.
Okay. I mean, I'm
Kind of.
scouring the map for things to do, really, Eddie, but I guess south.
South's a good choice. It's a good choice.
Yeah.
Let's go south. So you want to take a little bit of a bite south.
All right. Oh, I can't see anything over exciting there, Hedley.
I must have picked a bad subject. Okay.
How far south are we talking?
All right. Let's.
Give us-
Okay. This is starting to stall. So from New Alresford,
Yeah.
I want you to head in a southeasterly direction, kind of
Okay.
southeast.
Southeast is
Yes.
directly towards like Havant and Waterlooville.
Bear with me.
Or-
You're warm. You're warm. You probably overshot a little bit there.
Okay. Like Hambledon, Droxford.
Bear with me a sec. Hambledon's
Ooh.
warm. Hambledon's warm. You want to be heading sort of northeast.
Northeast of Hambledon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot called Old Winchester Hill, but that's northwest.
Yeah. No, you're looking at northeast.
Oh, okay. North. Oh, what about Buster Hill?
Yes, he's got it. Thank
Ooh.
God. Butser Hill.
Thank
Butser Hill.
God for that. Butser.
Well
Butser.
done. Butser Hill. Right. So I've
Oh,
kind
that's
of.
impressive.
Let me tell you a little.
Is that
Oh,
Iron Age village?
There's something.
Wasn't
there,
there a
isn't there?
recreation Iron Age village there?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about Butser Hill. So I've been there a couple of times. Butser Hill is a hill on the southwest. So it's to the southwest of Petersfield, and you can see it because it's got large masts on the top. And you've got just below Butser Hill, you've got the A3 that runs from Petersfield to Portsmouth, and it runs kind of over a high valley that's between Butser Hill to the north and the Queen Elizabeth Country Park to
Yeah.
the south. So that's Queen Elizabeth Country Park is kind of a bit of a place for walkers and mountain bikers. So Butser Hill is 889 foot high. It's the highest point on the South Downs, and it's one of the most visited hill forts in the south of England. It's got 80,000 annual visitors, and of course, being the South Downs, therefore it's also chalk downland. So to compare to Walbury Hill in the last podcast, Walbury is actually 85 foot higher than Butser Hill, but if you're standing on the northern scarp of Butser, it's difficult to imagine Walbury actually being higher. In fact, the reason Walbury is higher is simply because it's further inland. The term Butser Hill is a bit confusing. It kind of relates to the Triple SI rather than the hill itself, but I think that also includes the neighbouring Queen Elizabeth Country Park, which itself is a series of hills and ridges covered in forest, whereby Butser itself is largely sort of open grassland. I'm unsure how it works. Maybe Butser is incorporated into the Queen Elizabeth Country Park. I've never explored that bit, but I've seen like plenty of on-board mountain bike videos. Now, I don't know if you've got Google Maps open where you can make it 3D.
I've done that already, Hedley. Yeah,
You've done it
absolutely. It's
already.
beautiful.
So you can see from the south, Butser actually it isn't that spectacular. From the car park at the Queen Elizabeth Country Park, it's a kind of a lengthy but shallow slope leading up to what is a very, very large flat top with views across the Solent, the Isle of Wight, the English Channel. This wouldn't usually be enough for me to make it a podcast topic. However, on the kind of the lesser seen northern side, you've got three kind of spectacular dry hanging valleys, two of which are absolutely massive. The middle one in particular. Yeah. Not to give away any sort of trade secrets, but drone shots from the north are really dramatic as the escarpment plunges into these valleys like a big wall. And of course, it's because of that, it's also a hotspot for hang gliding activities. And we all know that hang gliding and drone flying don't mix very well. So the views to the north include the village of East Meon, and it's got a beautiful church there. Now, East Meon is a bit special to me because my grandfather was the village bobby there. And in 2008, BBC South interviewed my late father, so his son, to talk all about it. And it was showing sort of black and white photos of Grandad with his bike and pictures of him rescuing a cow from a haystack, and sort of somewhat different to the job nowadays. But in this video, they also had the current day, 2008 Village Bobby in it as well. And I think, in fact, the pictures and the film of Grandad became quite popular over in the States because they love that kind of quintessential sort of English scene. And I like to think East Meon hasn't changed too dramatically from that. Anyway, before I get too emotional about that, back to Butser Hill. So the main valley to the north has got its own kind of microclimate, and the deepest part of the valley contains an area that's known as Rake Bottom, in which further down the valley then leads to it flattens out to kind of where there's a Winterbourne. And then the shoulder of the valley is called Ramsden Down. So Rake Bottom has got a wonderful clump of trees in the middle, which you probably won't see properly on 3D maps, but they offer protection from the sun in the summer. And whilst I was there last, I noticed many people walking and even running up the paths up the valley shoulders. And it turns out they are Strava addicts because those addicted to Strava can basically accumulate more elevation on a run or walk here than anywhere else in the south of England, simply by going up and down these ludicrously steep paths on the side. I mean, I tried two of the paths myself, and you really need a head for heights because it's steeper than your stairs and it's hundreds of feet down. So each valley has kind of it's got subtle sort of cross dikes over the top and earthworks. And Historic England describes the site as a hilltop enclosed by Iron Age cross dikes and associated field system and Bronze Age barrows. One of the biggest of these cross dikes is at the head of the eastern hanging valley, which is kind of number 2 in the order. So the valley is still massive, but not quite as spectacular as Rake Bottom. And that one has a single path descending into it, and it's bordered on the shoulder of Butser Hill with a little hill called Pillow Mound. I've never been down there, but I'm told this valley also has a microclimate, and it is full of intriguing flora and fauna. So I've got here an extract from Wikipedia. So it says the hill was purchased by Hampshire County Council in 1966. Prior to the purchase, the summit was used for growing wheat, but now the only farming activity is grazing. In December 2021, a £240,000 programme was announced to restore the grassland on the hill and improve trails. So Butser Hill has got a rich variety of flora and fauna located on the hill. Butser Hill is in the top 20 Hampshire chalk grassland sites for its rich vascular flora, and it's the richest chalk grassland site in Hampshire in terms of its bryophyte, which has got 125 species, and lichen, which has got 82. As well as this, over 30 species of butterfly have been recorded, including populations of Duke of Burgundy and the silver-spotted skipper, making the area an important conservation area for butterfly species. So the Hampshire Chronicle also has a few words about this restoration project. It says that the focus is a 5-year project, which will be they'll be focusing on the dramatic scarp chalk slope, which is called Grandfather's Bottom. Invasive scrub will be removed to accentuate the drama of the landscape and enhance chalk grassland that is home to several rare species, such as the chalkland blue and, as we said before, the Duke of Burgundy butterflies. Around 830 metres of path and steps will also be resurfaced, which is good to hear. So that's probably done by now. Now, due to its height and the dramatic scarps, the long haul up from the Queen Elizabeth Country Park, it kind of sounds like it's inaccessible to those who are less physically able. However, on both of my visits there, laden with rucksacks and walking shoes and panting my way to the top of the climbs above cloud inversion at one point, I never actually realised that you can drive up it. And there's a car park and a cafe at the top, just out of sight, that I'd never seen. So really, I mean, just to finish, I mean, I've got a real fondness for Butser Hill. I think I'm probably going to go back there. I mean, I've taken pictures of it. I mean, it's a real sort of contrasting yin-yang of every single element. So it's tame southern slope contrasts with its northern slope. It's tough and remote nature sort of contrasts with the easy access that you can get in a car. It's Ville of the quaint villages to the north, contrasts with the view out to sea to the south. And with the exception of the hang gliding episode of Only Fools and Horses, which was filmed there, I think it's wonderful.
Was it really?
It's woefully underused as a TV and film location. I've had two of my best photography walks there, and my pictures of it now are out of date. They're sickeningly colourful. So maybe in the next few days I'll head back there, and maybe I'll get new ones before the podcast goes out. I'll see if the pictures that you've seen just now are sickeningly colourful. They're the ones that I got last time, and I didn't make it out this time. And that is my subject on Butser Hill.
Hedley, I might be wrong about this, but I think that they filmed Doctor Who somewhere near there in, I think, 1986. Is there not a place called Butser Iron Age Village somewhere in the area?
So. This might be something that I forgot to include, actually. Let me have a look.
Where they've got sort of recreations of Iron Age huts, and I'm pretty sure, I think I'm right in saying they filmed Doctor Who there in 1986.
So it's called Butser Ancient Farm, apparently, but it is it says it's an archaeological open-air museum and experimental archaeology site located near Petersfield, so in the Butser area, and it's got a reconstruction of Iron Age farm and village, as you say. So yeah, it sounds like it would be the perfect place to film that sort of thing. So yeah,
but a real positive story about the return of the grassland there. Incredible. Absolutely. It just goes to show, doesn't it? You know, if it was ploughed and under arable, and yet you stop doing that, and it's all still there, isn't it? In the seed bank. It can recover. It can come back.
Well, it's like a lot of these places that have, you've got an increase in visitors, which is balanced off against the conservation side of it. Places like Whittenham Clumps with the Earth Trust, they've managed to let, with their River of Life project and everything, they've managed to sort of let that grow to how it should be. And you go there, it's lovely and wild, and yet it receives 200,000 visitors a year. So it's a case of making sure those visitors aren't prevented from seeing these things, but also don't destroy what's there. So it does sound, I mean, I'll be able to confirm when I go there, but it does sound like a bit of a success story. And it's a beautiful location. I mean, a lot of people that go there only see the southern side of it, and it's just just a normal hill. But when you get over the north side and that view opens up, wow, it's it's amazing. It's amazing.
Excellent.
So, should we do a few YouTube comments?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, you said a views down from last time, didn't you? Which is
a few views down. That's fine. We lost the glamour of Sam in this one. It was just the
we did, yeah.
Someone called WC21 UK.
Yeah, who is that?
Wow. Okay. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay, so we'll skip them. No, just kidding.
It's a bad comment. Skip a bad comment.
No, it's good. You were talking about how we are extremely lucky to be filming above a cloud inversion, which was a bit special. And I believe it was better before I got there, but even when I got there, it was nice. So Tweedy Outdoors, thank you for the shout out. Tweed makes a surprising amount of sense in outdoor clothing, and of course,
Absolutely
it's
right.
what
Absolutely right.
What it was originally intended for. He says, although paradoxically I'm a vegetarian, so the hunting, shooting, fishing aspect of it was never my scene. Very true.
And that's the same here as well.
Yeah, he then rattles on about the waterproof and miraculous self-clean. You see, David Carson was talking about this. So I was tempted by the tweed last week. With the likes of Darren, with the likes of Tweedy, I was starting to look at it a little bit, and but my wife says it's outside of my what are the words? Sphere of domestic approval, I think. But David Carson's working on a plan for me wooing my wife into accepting the fact that I'm going to go down the tweed route at some. And David is the king of tweed. I mean, David is the country squire, isn't he? He owns Wiltshire, I think.
Wiltshire, full stop.
Yeah,
I mean, we're closing in on you, Hedley. It sounds like this is inevitable. We've got all this tweed is closing in.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm going to be. I'll give it about 12 months maximum.
Watch this space.
Endless Spiral says, great podcast as always. Lovely shout out to Tweedy Outdoors. Can agree, as a long-term viewer, fascinating and addictive. Someone goes on about you flicking around with the maps during treasure hunt.
Yeah. I was only conscious of that last week when somebody mentioned it, because I just dot around with it. Well, you're waffling away about all these features, and I'm trying to keep up with your waffle.
You're trying to keep up. Yeah,
it kind of works. But
it does. Well, the finished product, it works. So Ian D. Dalton, episode 19 already. Well done, guys. Thank you, Ian. Davey941. Hello again, Hedley and Paul. Another cool waffle. It's always nice to see Rebecca. Sorry to hear about your mum, Hedley. Thank you very much. David Bellani, he likes to comment, doesn't he? He's probably our most loyal listener award.
He's a great guy, actually. He's very active on my channel as well. He's in Spain, isn't he? He's in Spain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We love David. He's brilliant. David Bellani, 3308. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's talking about Silbury Hill. Let's have a look. Paul, did you know Hedley has installed himself in your light switch? Big brother indeed. I've forgotten what that's about.
Oh, is that there? Is that?
Yeah. I thought that's it.
Oh, I see.
He says, I thought for a moment...
podcast listeners,
yeah.
For the people that can't see the YouTube video, behind my head is like a shiny mirrored light switch. And I get you can see... I can see myself. And now Darren too. There you go, look, there you go.
Oh, God, that's
actually works.
He says, is Mr. WC21, was that a London postal code? We're getting towards having to ask him, aren't we? As far as I can see, the last digit is a letter in the WC2 area, so that rules that out. Be nice to know his first name. Well, we know it's Darren.
It is Darren.
He mentions the coombe gibbet in the frost. This is the thing, I'd like to mention Tweedy's name, but I think I don't want to do that without his permission.
Yeah.
Hi guys, love the video. This is one for you, Paul. Feel sorry for you down there. I live in Scotland you live in the Scotland-England border. Some lovely walks around here. No one ever bothers to tell you to get off their land. Yeah.
Scotland-England border, lovely. That's a beautiful place.
That's Cheviots, isn't it? Is that around the Cheviots?
I don't know.
Well, on the eastern side, the Cheviots is on the eastern side, but it's obviously it runs all across. It's amazing. The Scottish borders is. In fact, I do have a video planned for next year on an interesting subject about that. Or certainly on the eastern side, an area called the Debatable Land, which back in the days of the border reivers was. At one stage in the 1500s, I think Henry VIII basically just said, let's give up on this. Let's give up on trying to have any law and order there. They were these incredible sort of reiver families that were just laws unto themselves. I think it's still quite similar to today, I think.
It's like, I remember the Al Murray talking about how the people of Newcastle keep the Scots out, but I won't go to, I don't want to lose any listeners. Final couple of comments. Chris H5319, lovely images, Hedley. I like it when you talk to other people. Thank you for that, Chris. And Go Humber 2 says, I've coughed up my lungs, nice, many times cycling up there from all three directions. Yeah, so the climbs up towards Coombe Gibbet and Walbury Hill on a bike are a bit...
Do you know what, right? I've got a mate called Nick Harper who's a musician. And he once did a charity trip to... He's son of Roy Harper, who used to be in Squeeze and stuff like that.
Really?
So Nick Harper, Nick Harper, who is his son, as I say, lives in that neck of the woods, and he did a charity gig at Everest Base Camp, and he did his training up and down that Coombe Gibbet hill.
That's mad.
Silly
For
the day.
We trained up there for the Pyrenees at one point. When I was younger and fitter, we crossed the Pyrenees basically from west coast to east coast and did Tourmalet and Col d'Aspin and all of that. And we used the Hampshire Downs as one of our training. But you work out, it's like to simulate going up Col de Tourmalet, you've got to climb Coombe Gibbet something like 29 times or something stupid. It's just absolutely crazy. I couldn't do that now. Well, I'm meant to, because I'm meant to be doing it next year, but I think I'm going to end up...
I struggle once.
So get some practice in, Hedley.
Yeah, I think I need more than practice. I need probably liposuction. So, anyway, we're sort of getting towards the end now. So, I just want to obviously encourage people, to follow WC21 UK Productions Limited. Just put in WC21 into YouTube, you'll find it, and follow Darren's videos, because they're about the right length, they're entertaining, they're informative, and particularly the recent one about Wansdyke is an absolute template of how the type of video I absolutely love. So thank you very much for making those, Darren. I know they're not...
Oh, thanks for the shout out, Hedley. Can I just say, because I sort of forgot to mention it earlier, I just wanted to do a shout out to the Beaten Track, who commented on the Wansdyke video that you're talking about. He really wanted the eastern extension to be confirmed as Wansdyke, which clearly I didn't confirm it as Wansdyke. And probably the general sort of mood nowadays is that it isn't Wansdyke that runs to Inkpen Beacon. But I just wanted to say to the Beaten Track that when I was putting that video together, particularly the NAF overlay that I did, I thought actually there might be something in this. And I think, Hedley, on the day you felt, didn't you, that... You think it may well be an eastern extension of Wansdyke, is that right?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to interrupt you there, because if you have a look on the old maps, National Library of Scotland overlay.
Oh yes.
Oh, they show it, yeah.
National Library of Scotland overlay. If you go to the south of Inkpen, so hang on, I'm going to bore everybody. If you go to south of Inkpen, hold on, you have to give me a half a second here, people, to find this. Talk amongst yourselves, everybody.
So I'm going to try and do the same.
Right, hold on.
National Library of Scotland.
Well, that didn't work. Oh my goodness.
That's fine. Well, whilst Paul is searching, because this makes for very bad radio. So what I will say.
I'll do it on Bing Maps instead, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Bing Maps, as I said in the video, Bing Maps still shows Old Dyke Lane as, but it calls it the Wansdyke. So if you just come, you've got Lower Green, haven't you, on the sort of western side of Inkpen? If you find the little hamlet of Lower Green, and then sort of head west from there, there's a field with a footpath running along the top, and then another footpath running down, and it's there. And Bing actually show that as the Wansdyke today.
I mean, it would make sense. No.
Oh, yes. No, I remember. Yeah, I remember you saying the video. Right. Okay. Well, go on that. Head south, back over Coombe Gibbet, and head directly south to Lincolnholt.
No, I don't think it would go beyond Coombe Gibbet, because if you think, I don't think it would go beyond Coombe Gibbet. Think of the talk that Dr. Alex Langlands gave at the show.
Exactly. Yes.
So his argument, in a way, was that Wansdyke I mean, bearing in mind this is a kingdom-wide effort to build it, would have been... So you got to the south of Wanstead, you've got lots of rivers like the Test and everything, which run down to the sea, which were used by Wessex to get trade over to Gaul, to France. Now, they didn't want the horrible Mercians up north. Well, not horrible, they weren't at loggerheads with them in any way, really, but they didn't want the Mercians taking advantage of the rivers. So Wanstead, his argument is that it was
They're controlling the trade, aren't they?
Exactly. Now, at some point, you need Wanstead to finish. And if it finished at Inkpen Hill, well, then that's the boundary where the River Test starts and goes to the south anyway.
And I think the idea, the proponents of that idea, going, if we go back to the antiquarians of old, the proponents of that idea is also quite simply that the escarpment of the Downs is a natural boundary, at the end of it. But I mean, the fragments. The fragments of ditch, like Old Dyke Lane, and then you've got Bedwin Dykes, and there's a very interesting stretch at Shelbourne, and it runs up by Prosperous, Jeffro Toll's farm, all these sort of disconnected sort of bits and pieces that you can join the dots and join up. But the characteristic of the structure has changed. If that was anything to do with Wanstead, it's a very different. It's a very different structure.
Mr. Langland's had it down, which is now marked as Grim's Ditch, so Fackham Wood. If you go to the south of Lincolnholt, he had it down as south of Lincolnholt, so almost.
So it would go over the hills.
Yes.
So you'd be looking then to see what you could. Right. So Fackham is on the same line of hills. You've got Coombe Hill and then you've got Warbury Hill. So somewhere it's got to, if that's the case, it would go up Gallows Down, and it would have to run over Warbury Hill itself, and then over Coombe Hill, and then to Fackham. So it would have to sort of go around the rim of the valley.
But have a look on an OS map. South of Fackham, there is a bit of Grim's Ditch. Right? Now, our friend Mr. Langland said that is actually Wanstead, not Grim's Ditch.
Wow.
If anyone would know, it would be him. I mean, he's
done
luminescence dating and everything, hasn't he?
Well, the modern maps mark it as Grim's Ditch. The old maps mark it as Woden's Dyke.
Yeah. And of course, that's and you got Woden's Barrow over near Milk Hill and stuff like that as well. So okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So who knows? It's worth.
We'll have to get Dr. Langlands on the podcast.
So anyway, there you go. The beaten track. You see, maybe it is. Maybe that eastern extension is indeed at Wanstead.
Yeah.
Yes, could well be. So amazing. Yeah, I've got it on the map now. So brilliant. Well, thank you very much. That's been a really insightful episode. I've really enjoyed that, and it's great having you on, Darren.
Thank you very much. It's been fantastic.
So thank you very much. And, okay. So give us a thumbs up, people. Leave a comment below, and we'll probably read them out. Go and watch WC21 on YouTube. Really good. We're all pointing at each other now, I don't know. And that's it. So thanks everyone, and I'm not sure if we'll have another one out before Christmas. We will see, but if we don't, have a really good Christmas. Thanks.
We'll see.
Yes, happy Christmas.
Indeed.
Bye bye.